energy stay far away.
Yeah,
But hey, alright, cool, man. It's got a being or a concept. I believe God is both. I believe there's a being, and I believe there's the concept of being God.
okay.
How I'll describe it is kind of similar to what I've learned about the way the ancient Igbos practiced their religion. So the ancient Igbos believed in something called the Chi Uku, which means the supreme spirit. That's the spirit that created everything and the whole world and the universe.
Yeah.
And that supreme spirit, the Chi Uku, also created Chis, which is everybody's individual spirits.
Yeah.
Now, the ancient Igbos, they obviously knew about the Chuku and they respected the Chuku, but they never really worshipped the Chuku like that, because from their perspective, the Chuku was just the creator. He wasn't really concerned with about their daily lives.
Yeah.
Like, to your earlier point, like, if this person is God, why does he care how you have sex? He wasn't really concerned. He just created the world for him creating the world. But each of your individual Chis is your spirit that enables you to be the best version of yourselves, and you have to dedicate your time and effort towards that chi. So people often in their homes had a shrine to their chi. They had like little ornaments that it's called pouring libations. They went to charge up their ornaments, like give praises and charge up that spirit. And the symbols of those of their chis was often called something called that. The title is called Ikenga. And what it means is like strength, or your source of strength. What you look at, and that's what gives you strength. That's what makes you a better person. So that's what your chi was. That's what your spirit. So everybody looked into the chi. Now there were other spirits that they worshipped as well, but they worshipped them more in a sense of there are certain aspects they liked about the spirit, so they wanted to adopt those spirits, those good values that the spirit has for themselves.
Yeah.
So take, for example, our last name is Anaduaka. That's an acknowledgement to the land goddess. So obviously whoever was naming that person has a good connection with the land goddess and wanted the land goddess to ascribe the benefits of the land goddess into that child. That's why they named that child a name towards the land goddess. Someone could have named that child Amadio has something, like based on the sky, just because it's trying to ascribe the same values. And that is very similar to our culture, right? Where we have, for example, people have posters of like let's say I have a poster of Jay-Z. It's not really that you're worshipping Jay-Z like that, but you're trying to, I want to keep seeing Jay-Z, I want to be a fan of Jay-Z, I want to follow Jay-Z on Instagram because I want to adopt those values that Jay-Z has into my life.
Fact.
But fundamentally,
it's a manifestation.
But fundamentally, they still had to focus on their own chi. Their chi was their source of strength. So to me, that's how I see God. And I see God from that concept, in the sense of, I believe there's a creator. I believe there was something that created this entire universe. And I believe that being creating that entire universe, the act of that being doing that, the act of the being creating this universe, because I think this universe to me is the greatest thing any intellectual mind can ever imagine. Like, we've not even scratched the surface of what this universe's design is. Like, it's so brilliant. And that's just from my perspective. Like, I think whoever did this, to me, I don't know now, but to me, this would be arguably their greatest work. And so what I'm saying is that being who created the universe, who is God technically, the act of him creating the universe is a God-like thing to do. Is how we think of God, is a concept of God. Because we think of God as this immense thing, this supernatural thing, right? So him doing this immense thing was him expressing that concept, and he created that concept to pass it all down to his creations, similar to the way the Igbos believe the Chuku passed on the chis, the spirits, to the humans. This God that created the world passed on that concept of achieving supernatural things, doing things that is so great, and he passed it all down to each of us individually in different forms. So we all have a concept of that God, which is why we are made in his likeness and image. However, our concept of that God, our concept of achieving the supernatural, achieving something that is so immense and so great, will be different from each person's perspective. So although we have all the same, that concept of God, that concept of immense contribution, my manifestation of that might be me being the best father I can ever be. That's my manifestation of that God concept. And your manifestation might you doing something that is immensely contributed. Like it made the world, oh, this person has done an immense contribution to the world. Like whatever it is, whether you saved something or you invented something or you did something so significant. To me, that's people discovering their God. That's people discovering their concept. And similar to the Igbos, since everyone has a slightly different because that manifestation of that concept is different, I believe everybody has their own individual God. So I don't believe anyone should worship another person's God. I don't believe you should ascribe to the beliefs of someone else that makes that person a better person, because that might not be the beliefs you need to make yourself a better person. Take for example, you see someone fasting and then you say, oh, in order for me to be a better person, I should fast. You'd never have really a problem with food. You were always all right with food. What you had is you used to cheat on your wife. Yeah. That's what would have made you a better person if you actually focused on that. Yeah. But you're trying to focus on the person that was fasting. Maybe the person had a problem with food. Maybe the person was, every time the person like lost control, they went to food as a stuff. So fasting was them becoming a better person, them gaining control of themselves. Are you seeing that and trying to copy that? It might not really make you a better person. So everybody has their own individual concept that creator made in order to achieve the same thing that he did in creating the universe, and which is just, to your original point, I don't believe it's perfection. I don't believe that concept that God was creating was perfection. I believe it was immense contribution, self-improvement. It was self-accomplishment. Like, even look at the phrase the Bible used when they describe the creation story. After each day he created the world, it says, and he looks at it and it was good. Whenever you do something and you don't even need anyone else there, you just look at your work and you're like, God damn, man,
I can do it.
I can do it. Like, this is good.
This is good.
No one else has seen it. You did something. You look at it and you, God damn, this is good. That is you achieving your level of God. That's you achieving back to that. What no, there's upper limit problem. Your zone of genius. I call it your zone of God. When there's the different zones. You have zone of competence, zone of excellence, and then zone of genius. Most people stop at zone of excellence, doing things they can do well. But I'm saying when you get to your zone of genius, or what I call your zone of God, is when you get to the level where even you know, God damn, this shit is wild. This is good. So that's what I believe the concept is.
But you know what though? It's like I do have sort of like slight. I do hear what you're saying, and that makes total sense. But I have like a slightly different way of looking at that, because I do genuinely believe God is perfection in the sense of every design God has created is not flawed. As in everything, everything is there for a reason. As in everything is there for a reason. And as human beings, yes, we can be godlike. We like it's by thinking of him as a being, we limit ourselves because we listen to instructions. We don't see the wisdom of him because we're not looking at the concept. We're not looking at the concept of why God thought about creating the earth. We just thought, like, when you think of God creating when from a religious point of view, right, when you think of how God created the earth, you just said, oh yeah, God wanted to create the earth to feel fulfilled, and back to the point you're making, all of that. But what if there was a really underlying reason why this had to be created, or this formula and this formula made sense that this would exist? I guess like it's very subjective. You can look at it from both point of views, and you can make meaning to your life from both point of views, right? But I'm also saying as well, like, how can't you think of God as this really logical person that put so much thought into creation because it was essential towards maybe some part of his destiny? Or I mean, if he's a being, or if it's a concept of the world, you know how we talk about the Big Bang, like science, for example. Like, what if the concept was when this collides with this happens. Now religion is meant to show us like the different actions and consequences of this particular concept that's just happened right now. So if you mix hydrogen and whatever, you create bomb, for example. What if actually religion is meant to really decipher that? But we are so fixated on this person was once like us, and we're trying to, and we're completely like really losing it. Because, guy, if you think about the Bible, right, when it doesn't just talk about science, it even talks about psychology, it talks about everything we study. The Bible actually like breaks it down into stories and everything, because it talks about conflict of how to manage relationships, and managing relationships is literally your basic psychology, right? It talks about, because basic psychology is like how to live in society now. You have to be sane and all that, but the Bible literally breaks that down into a different way. Like it talks about even sociology from a different point of view. It talks about science from a point. It talks about math from a different point of view. Like, as in, but we keep equating it to, no, there's this one being that was able to figure this thing out. I think personally is limiting. I think if you see it as just the way you see a study of science, because if you're studying science, you never want to stop learning, right? Because science makes you think there's a lot of possibilities. But if, say, they teach you like a Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, and all you recite, it gets to a point where that you have to really want it for it to have intellectual meaning to you, or it's just become just a incantation. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think it's possible for a being to have achieved that concept that we can learn from. And this, to your point of perfection, like everything God did was perfect. I don't believe everything God did was perfect, and I even use the Bible as evidence. He evolved. If you read the Bible from Genesis, his relationship with humans evolved. He realized, actually, I shouldn't relate with these people this way. I should relate with them this way. He destroyed the world and started again.
I'm really sorry.
You can't say that's perfection.
I'm really sorry. I just want to clarify that point. When you make that point, right, you need to think about it. Is a human being that told the story of God's point of view, not God actually.
I know it's not God, but I understand that. But let's assume, right? Even if God was like his own individual person, I was not the one that wrote this story, and this is someone's source and spice or lies or whatever. It might not be lies, but just like this is just someone's individual perspective that might not be entirely true.
Really sorry, but I'm just thinking of this, right? It's, for example, saying there's this podcast happened. The way you describe how the whole event went today will probably be similar.
I understand that. It might even is like Chinese whispers. I tell you something. Even if God told this person exactly everything, the way the person translates might not come out exactly.
Fair.
However, regardless of that, I still don't see a necessity, not really a necessity, but God being perfect, I don't see how that helps anyone involved in this experience, even God. If God was perfect, there's no need to do this. There's no need to demonstrate this. There's no need to have all of this. And there's no lesson to be learned, because if God was perfect, then would have created the perfect thing and everything would be perfect, and there's really no growth and no evolution and nothing. So really there's no message in there. So if I'm trying to think like God in this instance, in terms of trying to be like God, right? The message behind this that would be worthwhile is you can start from here and you can end up here. That's a better message than you were born perfect.
Guy,
I agree with you. I'm saying the being is possible that there was a being that did achieve that concept. And that concept of perfection might not be perfection from the end goal, might just be perfection of progress. But perfecting the method of progress, not necessarily